Bitcoin just closed a weekly candle above 60K. We've been waiting for this for so long. So in this episode, we're going to find out what this means for altcoins, when altcoins are going to start moving, what the heck Ethereum's doing right now, and most importantly, to give you a little bit more confidence when you're clicking around with your money. New viewers, that's what my channel does for you. I help you complete the triangle of crypto knowledge that you need. You're only getting 2 points in the vast majority of crypto YouTubers that you're going to be able to watch. Point 1, project fundamentals. Point 2, news base. And point 3, this is where I come in. I help you connect a little bit more dots so that when you're clicking around with your money, staring at charts is not so foreign to you, so you can enter trades more strategically and have a more profitable crypto journey, even if you're not doing something like day trading. This is a lot, my channel has a lot to do with altcoin fans. So if that sounds good, returning viewers, smash like, punch it in the face, do whatever you got to do. And also new viewers, if you like this by the end of the video, go ahead and check out my Patreon and Discord private community exclusive. The exclusive gated community links are in the description section. So let's go check that out. Hey, real quick, look at that. Look at that. Look at that weekly closure. Oh, isn't that beautiful? So we're going to dive into that and dissect what it means on the lower time frames as well. Let's get it. So apart from a weekly closure above that line, in terms, and I just said charts being foreign to you. So new viewers, check this out. I'll prove to you charts are foreign to you. Watch. I have a question for you. What is it about this chart that screams out to you? There is, I think, one best answer. The most prominent possible thing that anybody familiar with charts would say, like, hey, and it has a recent development. It's a big hey moment. What is it? And it's not about 60K. Like, you could take off price. It doesn't really matter. Like Bitcoin could be worth $20 in the same chart. It would still be the same answer, for example. So what is it? It's the fact that Bitcoin is now in a weekly uptrend. That is it. One best answer. That is the most prominent thing about this chart, the weekly chart. Even more than that, Bitcoin has never once in any of its bull bear markets gone from an uptrend to a downtrend with a lower low. So this candle here closed below these. That is a lower low and a lower confirmed high, because then you had a red week. So this was a confirmed lower high with a confirmed lower low. That is the definition of the beginning of a downtrend. The downtrend was confirmed. Every single time Bitcoin has gone to a weekly downtrend, it went into a year and a half plus long bear market every single time. And now, for the first time ever, Bitcoin has gone from downtrend to uptrend, or no, from uptrend, downtrend, back to uptrend in a short amount of time on the weekly scale. This is a huge, huge deal. Now, most of us who are following crypto charts to some degree, we know that, and actually my video, it should have been from July 17th or 16th, somewhere around there. And if you don't believe me, you can go look at it. I let folks know before this candle closed and really dipped, I said very specifically in that video around that day, around July 17th, that, hey, since we know this is a coordinated Wyckoff effort, so it's some, I hate to use the word cartel, but it was a Bitcoin cartel that had coordinated their money and their trades together to print an exact shape out of a textbook, right? So it's, and you can't do that with coordination of entities with a lot of money. So thinking like a whale during this candle, before Bitcoin went back down to under 30K, I said, hey, these whales are going to close this week both below the weekly 55 and below this. And I said, even made a more daring call that ended up working out. Not all my calls work out, but this one was perfect. I said the first 2 days of the next week will be deep red, and then we're going to have a blast off. So it's probably a thumb. Yeah, it should be around July 17th, that video, when I said that. So yes, okay, first time ever that Bitcoin's gone from uptrend to downtrend back to uptrend. That was mostly because the downtrend should have never happened. Sure. Okay, that is a that's a legit statement. It would not have happened without a coordinated group essentially planning to do just that. Like this weekly candle closure was planned, and so were the first 2 days. It was to get shorts, not just in their shorts, but because of this candle closure, the first 2 days of the next week went down to get people to add to the shorts. It was a trap. It was a planned and coordinated trap, right? So, but regardless, Bitcoin has just undone that, right? And we're in a weekly uptrend. So bull market, I mean, as much as you can possibly confirm, continued. There's nothing definite in trading, like double tops, even though they don't really happen that often, I guess there's some non-zero possibility. So, 1%, 0.5%, or whatever, some low probability that that's happening. And then we enter a bear market. Sure. However, as much confidence as one could have, this is about as good as it gets, that the bull market will now continue because of this candle closure. Because of it. Weekly uptrends are powerful. Now, does this mean go use your money in 10x leverage long crap right now? Hell no, because we are not using a microscope right now. We're using, we might be looking out to the cosmos with a telescope. We're looking at big stuff right now. So a lot of chaos can happen within 1 week's candle, and we're going to dive into that here, and we're going to dive into that on Ethereum, particularly since Cardano's not really doing much at all right now. So let's dive in now that we have the context. All right, so the weekly chart, let's say that Bitcoin, I think, has an extremely strong probability of closing this same week's candle above 60K again. However, and so this is one of the main ideas of the video, okay? Within this week, so most green candles have a red wick, right? And so how far down do red wicks go? A lot of times they go halfway or even 3/4 of the way down. I mean, look at this one. Look at this green candle. It started the week red and it backfilled almost to the open. It's like almost down to here, the whole candle, and still closed green, right? So that is my main idea. I think that this current week, which is only 12 days, this whole weekly candle is only 12 hours old. So it's the very beginning of the candle. I think that A, this week current will close above 60K, and B, this downside action is going to end up being that wick that once Bitcoin gets back above 61.3, it will be a green candle, and this will be the green wick of the green candle. That is the main idea. Now, what is another strong possibility? I'm not saying I think that's honestly, that might actually be probable. I would say that might be over 50% chance that happens because of the strength of this candle closure mixed with the idea that put Bitcoin in a weekly uptrend. I would say that's a very strong chance. However, it's not 100%. It's very far from 100%. 50, would you want to be betting your life with a 50-50 coin flip? Hell no, right? It's not that great. Would you make some bet for $1 million if you had a 99.8 chance of, winning and surviving, like death or $1 million? Probably. I would probably take that. I'd buy a Bitcoin or Dash or Litecoin with it. But not 50%. So in the scope of things, 50% is a really good percentage in trading. But it's very far from definite. So there are other strong possibilities less than 50% in my analysis that could happen. So what are those? Well, this week could easily wick down here, backfill, almost to the open, and close a doji red. And so a lot of times that's really, really healthy price movement when you go down either to a strong EMA, like a weekly 10 or a daily 10, and still close above it, even though you're red. That typically, that closure above that line, even on a red candle, is showing strength. And what it means is I am proving you as support, period. I might come all the way down here Monday through Wednesday. I might not have a green closure. I might close red, but I closed above that line, and that would bring buyers in the next Monday or the next, trading weekly candle. That would likely bring that closure, even if it's red, will bring a lot of buyers. And that would strongly increase the chance that Bitcoin's next week will break all-time highs. So So that would be all-time highs right at the end of October, maybe before November 1st, really close to November 1st, maybe a few days before. All right. Yeah, it's going to be close, but it looks like it's going to be right around the end of this month that all-time highs will be hit, even if this week closes red. Okay. However, I think it looks a little bit more probable that Bitcoin this week will only backfill, then close green, maybe won't close above. So this box actually should match with the all-time high. Yeah, I don't know. And a candle closure above all-time highs on the weekly isn't important. The only important one was this line here, because it's the highest candle closure ever, right? But will Bitcoin close a week above that line? I'm not for sure. It might just have a small green candle here after a nice backfill, and then the next week blasts off, right? Especially since we're starting this week like this, I don't see a weekly closure much over 65K, but it might be right around that line in that scenario, in my most likely scenario. So I would say Bitcoin will close this week most likely around 64.6, somewhere around there, rivaling this wick. And the second most probable is that Bitcoin will do a backfill and close a doji-ish red candle, but closing above 60K. All right. So let's dive into the smaller timeframes. What does that mean? Well, actually, let's so what important let me take these off. Less confusing. All right. So I'm on the daily time frame now. Which daily time frame EMA is approaching that important line? The daily 10 EMA. And Bitcoin, as we know, can double in price just wicking down to the daily 10 EMA. So this can go, I guess technically we have gone from 40K. So yeah, Bitcoin can easily go to 80K. It can double in price because it's done it many, many times before, only wicking down to the daily 10. So if this week closes doji red with a backfill on the weekly, what that means is we're just riding the daily 10. And with maybe a closure below, come back up. That's what it means, like a little flag if you're a pattern person. And that would allow Bitcoin to totally fly the week thereafter. And so if you don't believe me about doubling by only wicking down below the daily 10, I'm actually giving an understatement. It can do this on the 12-hour 10 EMA. Bitcoin recently doubled, riding the 12-hour 10 EMA, which is up higher and closer to price. But if you want to see the example, here you go. Here is 10K Bitcoin. 10,600, let's call it 10K. Look, rode the 10, wick, wick, wick. This is like what we're doing now, right? Just wicks down. See, riding the 10. Come up, wick down to the 10 perfectly. Didn't even touch it this time. Boom, boom. And what price is that? Almost 20K. So nearly doubled riding the daily 10. So if Bitcoin started this right at 40, Bitcoin can go to 80K, riding the daily 10, right? But within this week, what does the doji candle mean? It just means riding it before the next pump, which would be all-time highs just before November 1st, or right around November 1st, if not just a few days before. So that's all that's happening right now. Now, is there, a threat of Bitcoin coming all the way down to the daily 21 back to 50, like a wick below 53K, then closing back up at 60? Yeah, that could happen as well. And that would be one hell of a buy, because you know how much altcoins would dip? Woo. Yeah, this week, if you see Bitcoin wicking down, touching the daily 21, it would be scary because alts would be really low. But the likelihood of that being a good entry because of this weekly closure, the uptrend, all that stuff, that would be one. You would have a strong statistical edge of entering an amazing trade if you could see that. So keep your eye on the daily 10 and the 21. All right. So Bitcoin is looking completely healthy. Let's even look on the 12-hour chart, which is my favorite chart for Bitcoin, by the way. Essentially, Bitcoin just undid bearish divergence that it had going. Bitcoin formed a high in price and a higher high in price, but it was a lower high on RSI, which is one strike of, I guess, two strikes, 1, 2 of bearish divergence. But it undid that by making a higher high in both RSI and price. So like there doesn't need to be a big correction. It can literally, like Bitcoin might only come down to 59.8 to touch this and keep riding. and make all-time highs this week. That is completely possible. That is allowed. However, you can see within this move, let's look at the 12-hour Stochs. 12-hour Stochs have been up there quite a while, but what did the 12-hour Stochs do when Bitcoin went from 10K to 20K when it doubled? All right, so we are focusing on this section here, which aligns with this section here. So it did stay up there for a good while. However, you did have a zone, which is very common of the 12-hour, where you have a zone down here. See how this comes up, and it's resistance. This line, Stochs came down, it's support. So you have a support and resistance line on the 12-hour chart right around 51. So if we draw a line of support in 12-hour Stochs around 51, that would very potentially align with the idea that that is a local low and Bitcoin has a strong chance of really zooming up after that. So if I could give you a suggestion of the second thing to watch in terms of entries for altcoins, all that stuff is the 12-hour chart. If Bitcoin Stochs hit about 52 and start curling up, which they likely would because of the weekly closure and the power thereof, your entries there would be fantastic. And that would probably look something like a decent wick below the day. It'd probably be priced between the daily 10 and the daily 21. I don't think that would take price all the way to the 21, but it would probably get pretty close. So that would be my hunt for the week. Like, I would really love to see that. And Stochs come down and then curl up. I would feel very, very confident entering trades. All right, so let's go to Ethereum. What the heck is up with Ethereum right now? So we're going to start on the weekly. So along the lines with Bitcoin, all right, Ethereum also has a line that's similar to its similar to Bitcoin's 60K line. And that is at 39.55 roughly. But Ethereum has not closed above it, right? It doesn't have a higher high yet on price on the weekly chart. So what I think could happen here is very similar to what Bitcoin is. I think you could be having a weekly backfill before a green candle that then is 1 week behind Bitcoin's closure above its line in the sand. So that's one strong possibility. I think it's the strongest possibility. However, it's possible that Ethereum will lag 2 weeks behind Bitcoin, and this week closes red. The next week, weeks above, maybe wicks pretty high, comes back down, closes around 4,000 even, and then you get moving. Or then it could just mirror Bitcoin, but 2 weeks behind. Then you could have a doji red that closes above and then start screaming the second week of November. So those are the possibilities that I think are the strongest within the next few weeks of Ethereum. So what does that mean on smaller timeframes like the daily? Well, that just means writing the daily 10 and 21, or writing the 10. And then if it can't break above, the next week is kind of like a small candle that makes the daily hit the 21. And hitting and writing the daily 10 and 21 allows you, it gives you permission to say, hey, I have a strong base. I can really start floating up here. And so the daily chart is actually on Ethereum. It's suggesting that Ethereum will only be 1 week behind Bitcoin, because if it stays level and rides these, even the daily 21, take a look at this. I mean, this is suggesting that the 21 will push Ethereum above this horizontal by October 26th. And the 10, as long as it doesn't go negative and cross, it would push it out by October 24th, here at the end of this week. So the idea that the 10, and so what could happen at the very end of the week, that day closes just below, and then the next week, but it would still be riding the 10 and 21. So on Ethereum, those are my main ideas for the weekly, and that's what it would look like on the daily. So in terms of your altcoins and this and that, when they're going to start popping, I think they'll start popping when Ethereum can close above here. And what to look out for until that happens is the daily 10 and 21 essentially riding up, and then it'll squeeze like a soap bar. See this space, how it gets smaller? Price has to get squeezed in there, and it squeezes above. And Cardano's not moving, so I'm not going to cover Cardano today. So We might have a week of boring. Or things will start getting hot around Wednesday if Bitcoin's candle flips green. That's another main idea to be thinking about. So we'll stay tuned. I'll definitely be making videos on Wednesday to cover that, if the candle's flipping green or not. And if you liked what you saw and you're new, go ahead and check out the Discord and Patreon community links. I give exact examples of the content that I provide for those the different tiers within. And also make sure to hit like and leave me a comment before you go. Y'all just got Timified. Happy bull season.